Hi folks, and welcome to Session Heroes episode 2. This time we're looking at Mike's career during the 90s, and specifically the development of his career as an original artist. Having already established himself as one of a handful of first call session musicians in Los Angeles, towards the end of the 80s, Michael Landau embarked on the first steps of his journey as a solo artist, releasing his seminal debut album, Tales from the Bulge, in 1990. Throughout this decade, Mike was prolific in his creative output of original music. Aside from releasing Tales from the Bulge, Mike also formed Burning Water with his brother Teddy Landau, David Frizzy and Carlos Vega, and the Raging Honkies with Teddy Landau and Abe Laborio Jr. The Raging Honkies showcased a previously unseen side of Mike's musical personality, not only by fronting the band on vocals, but also stylistically, exploring the raw, aggressive energy of 90s grunge scene. Mike stated in the past his fondness for Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, and in the music of the Honkies, although unique, you can definitely hear that influence coming across. So today we're going to be looking at two specific rigs, the Tales from the Bulge rig and the Raging Honkies rig. For Tales of the Bulge, Mike was predominantly using two guitars, a Schecter Strat with a 60s humbucker in the bridge and a Floyd Rose, and a Tyler Strat, again with a humbucker in the bridge. The two amps that Mike used on that record was a Jose Mod 100 watt Marshall Super Lead from 1970, and the Soldano preamp powered by the VHT power amp mentioned in episode 1. These were going through a couple of 1960 Marshall cabs, one with greenbacks and one with vintage 30s. In terms of processing, we can kind of assume that Mike would have been using the same sort of rack that he was using for his 80s sessions. So this was detailed in episode 1, but key pieces would have been his tri-stereo chorus unit, the Yamaha SBX 90 D-Tune, the Eventide harmonizer, and the Lexicon and TC Electronics units mentioned in the previous video for delays and reverbs. I actually found this post from Mike which details exactly which guitar and which amp he used on each track from Tales from the Bulge where he can remember it. He also mentioned using a Ibanez Tube Screamer and a Proco Rat pedal. So on Mike's work with both Raging Honkies and Burning Water, we see a pretty different setup happening to what he was using in the studio. He was predominantly using his 1968 black Fender Stratocaster, which Fender have now made into an artist model. At the time it would have had vintage rails and a Lindy Frolin humbucker in the bridge. For amps, he would have been using his Custom Audio Electronics preamp, the 3 Plus SE, and also 2 Marshalls, one from 67 and one from 69, 50 and 100 watt models. But what we have at the heart of this system is a pedalboard centric setup. So at the core of it, Mike had some really interesting choices, a lot of which have stayed with him to this day. These include the Maxon ST9 Sonic Distortion, the Roger Mayer Voodoo 1 pedal, the Arion Stereo Chorus pedal, the Boss VB2 Vibrato, a Custom Audio Electronics Vibe and Tremolo, both of which are rack mounted, and a Tycho Bra, pretty sure that's wrong, Octavia pedal. And there's a company called Chicago Iron which do supposedly like pretty much a component reproduction of that pedal, which I definitely want to get my hands on at some point. What you'll notice with the Honkies stuff is that all the guitar sounds are a lot more immediate, a lot more in your face, and in general a lot drier. There's not much processing going on in terms of reverbs and delays. It's a lot more in your face and aggressive. So it sort of ticks the box of both the Hendrix thing but also the grunge thing, which is pretty interesting. So between Tales from the Bulge and Raging Honkies, you've got 2 completely different ends of the spectrum.
Throughout this time, Mike was still doing a staggering number of sessions in LA, both with artists that he'd worked with since the late 70s and throughout the 80s, as well as a plethora of new artists breaking through at the time. Okay, so let's take a look at getting closer to Mike's sound. We're going to focus on 4 guitar sounds, and these are all going to be based on his raging Honkies style tones. So tone 1 would be this. We just have a Strat going straight into the front of a Marshall style amp. This time the amp has been made to do some more work, so we have it just hot enough that when we hit it hard, it's going to break up nicely. So we get this sort of thing. Okay, but that is not so gainy that if you were to hit the guitar lightly, it wouldn't clean up, so we would have this sort of thing. Okay, that gives you an idea of the amount of saturation you're striving for. Sound 2, if I wanted more gain, what I've been doing is kicking on the Analog D from Rocket, which is not set with a lot of gain, it's just designed to push the amp that little bit harder. So we'd have this sort of thing. Okay, if I wanted to make this into a lead sound, what I might do is add a tiny amount of reverb, almost more like a room sound, and I'd also kick on a Deja vibe. In this case, that's made by Full Tone. This is obviously a Univibe sort of sound, so we get this sort of thing. So once again, that's just my Strat into the Suhr Badger with the Analog D adding a little bit of gain, and the Deja vibe is kind of optional. So that clean sound, I'm keeping the same core amp sound, which we've seen how gainy it is. In terms of EQ, it's set sort of fairly bright, with a little bit of bass being cut. And 2 effects that we used on the video were a tremolo. So in this case it's the Flint by Strymon for the Roodis part, and like a little bit of reverb just to help it bed into the mix, so that would be... Or the other one would be the fast chorus sound. So this is obviously Mike's older Arion chorus pedal. I've got an Analog Man one with the speed and the depth both set to about 230 PM, I guess, like 3/4 of the way up. So that would sound like this. Very much in the vein of like a Leslie style sound. So in terms of recommended listening, for me it's all about Mike's original music during this time. So the Tales from the Bulge is an amazing album and a must-have for any guitar player in my opinion. His work with the Raging Honkies is a lot more hard-edged, it's a different side to his musical personality, but nonetheless brilliant, great songs. And Burning Water are also a fantastic band. If you can find their stuff, in the UK particularly, it's really hard to actually find their album, but there are a few videos kicking about online. In terms of sessions, Mike was continuing to work with some of the people that he was in the 80s, so he was continuing to do great work with Richard Marx and Joni Mitchell. However, he also started working with Eros Ramazzotti. I hope I've said that right. Anyway, he's a great Italian artist. Most of his songs are in Spanish or Italian, however the band and the musicians that he used on his albums and his tours were amazing and featured Mike
heavily. So I would definitely go and check out some of those albums. In terms of live sessions, Mike toured a little bit with Seal during this time. If you can find that footage online, it's awesome. Same with Michelle Branch, there's a whole concert kicking about on YouTube somewhere. Again, Mike's got a great kind of feature spot during that set and he sounds great. But as I mentioned, for me, it's all about Mike as an original artist during this time. He's doing some great stuff, so go and check it out. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. There will probably be one more on Mike at some point. Whether that'll be the next episode, whether I'll go to one of the other session guys first, I don't know yet. We will see. But if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for future updates, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.